What if I told you that no amount of effort, hustle, or sacrifice will ever make you rich unless you first think like the rich? What if I told you that wealth is not something you earn, it is something you become, and that most men will work themselves to the bone, trade decades for dollars, only to arrive at the end of life exhausted, bitter, and broke not because they lacked ambition, but because they never learned how the wealthy truly think? Listen closely. This is not a lecture. This is a reprogramming. This is not information to absorb, it is a mindset to install. You are not here to be entertained. You are here to be rewired. Because deep down, if you're honest with yourself, you know that you've been working hard, but not getting ahead. Saving, sacrificing, playing by the rules, but still stuck, still worried, still living a story of survival instead of sovereignty. And here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud, most people will never become rich because they think like the poor. They obey fear, they worship security, they repeat the language of limitation. They view money not as a tool but as a threat. And until that changes, nothing else will. Let me ask you a question. I've asked every man who ever claimed to want more. What is your mindset costing you right now? Not your job, not your income, your mindset. Because if your thoughts about wealth are built on fear, guilt, or scarcity, you could win the lottery today and still lose it tomorrow. You could build a business and self-sabotage it before it succeeds. You could be handed opportunity after opportunity and throw them away because your internal thermostat is still set to broke. I've studied the richest minds of history not to admire them, but to decode them. Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller. These men were not lucky. They were engineered. They did not think like workers. They thought like owners. They did not pray for wealth. They planned it. They did not drift. They decided. And most importantly, they did not wait for the world to approve. They reprogrammed themselves until the world had no choice but to follow. So if you're hearing this now, if something inside you is already waking up, it's because you know the current way isn't working. You know that you can't save your way to freedom. You can't budget your way to abundance. You can't play small and expect to live big. Another year of surviving, another year of hoping, another year of trading time for money while the wealthy buy time with money. That cycle ends now. Because let me make this clear. You will never be rich until you start thinking like someone who already is. You are not meant to live paycheck to paycheck. You are not here to clip coupons and die with regret. You are here to build, to own, to master, and none of that will happen until you control the one asset that determines all others, your mind. Understand this. Money follows mindset. Wealth obeys belief. And if you do not command your thoughts, they will betray you. They will whisper lies about what is possible. They will convince you to settle. They will keep you poor, not in your bank account, but in your identity. So hear me now. This message won't make you rich. But if you install it, if you repeat it, if you live it, it will plant the seed of a new identity. The identity of a man who refuses to drift, who refuses to beg, who refuses to wait for someone to hand him freedom. Because freedom is not given. It is taken by the man who decides to think differently. You have 12 months ahead of you, 12 chapters, 365 chances. The only question that matters now is this. Will you still be broke in your mind this time next year? Or will you finally think like the rich and become who you were meant to be? Breathe deep. Because what comes next will strip away every excuse you've ever believed about money. If you're ready to build real wealth, it starts here with how you think. Let us begin. Let us speak plainly. Most people are not poor because they lack effort. They are poor because they drift. They wake up tired, go to jobs they despise, earn just enough to survive, and call that life. But it isn't life. It's autopilot. And autopilot never leads to abundance. They do not design their day, they repeat it. They do not command their finances, they obey them. They do not think like creators, they react like consumers. This is what I call mental poverty, and it is more dangerous than an empty bank account. Because even when you deposit more money, the mindset still bleeds it dry. And if you do not master your financial philosophy, your philosophy will master you. You will inherit beliefs you never questioned, patterns you never chose, and fears you never confronted. And that is how generations stay stuck. I've had private conversations with the greatest minds of my time, and they all warned of the same silent disease drift. Not just in lifestyle, but in thought. Not addiction, not misfortune, drift. The slow decay of purpose, the quiet hypnosis of conformity, the subtle death of personal sovereignty. And it is through this condition that wealth becomes impossible, because no man who drifts financially will ever command riches. He will chase shortcuts, he will fear risk, he will procrastinate every decision that could elevate him. He will scroll, spend, and settle, all while calling it just trying to survive. But survival is not the goal. Ownership is, legacy is, freedom is. And none of that comes to the man who waits for the perfect time, the better job, the magical windfall. They don't need to destroy you to keep you poor. They only need you to drift. They only need you to keep saying, I'll start investing later. I'll start building when things calm down. I just need more time. And that delay becomes your destiny. Weeks become months. Months become years. And before you know it, you've become the very man you said you'd never be: tired, anxious, dependent, and quietly afraid of every bill that shows up. Let me speak the hard truth. Most people will die in financial mediocrity, and they won't even know why. They'll blame the economy, the system, the rich, but never realize the prison was built in their own thoughts. They never decided to think like the rich. They never claimed mental wealth. And so the world spent their time, spent their energy, spent their life for them. Hear me clearly, drift is the default condition of those who do not design wealth on purpose. If you do not have a plan for your money will vanish into someone else's. If you do not command your financial identity, you will inherit one shaped by fear, shame, and scarcity. And that identity cannot carry wealth. It rejects it. It repels it. Because deep down it does not believe it deserves it. That is the real cost of drift. Not just missed income, but missed identity. Missed legacy. Missed power. You must wake up. Because the pain of facing your financial truth today, the pain of discipline, of learning, of breaking cycles, is nothing compared to the pain of being owned by the life you never chose. I have said it before, and I will say it again. The man who cannot control his financial mind will never control his financial destiny. Now, let me tell you the difference between those who stay broke and those who rise into wealth. The broke man waits. The wealthy thinker moves. The broke man reacts to money. The wealthy thinker designs it. The broke man fears losing. The wealthy thinker sees every loss as tuition. The broke man needs someone to tell him it's okay. The wealthy thinker gives himself permission. You must become that man. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels safe. But now. And how do you do that? You install what I call your financial chief aim. This is not a dream scribbled in a notebook. It is not a vision board filled with vague desires. It is the single, dominating purpose of your financial life, etched in clarity, charged with emotion, burned into your subconscious, and repeated with force every day until it becomes who you are. Without it, you will wander. With it, you will build. Your financial chief aim is the map through uncertainty, the compass when opportunity floods you, and the engine when motivation runs dry. Every man who ever built great wealth, Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison, they had this one thing in common. They knew where they were going. Not someday, not hopefully, with certainty. They did not chase 10 paths, they mastered one, and you must do the same. No more vague intentions like, make more money. No more weak statements like, I just want security. No more passive hopes like, we'll see what happens. That's how the financially stuck think. That's how they stay stuck. You are not here to drift. You are here to decide. You are not here to dabble. You are here to declare. You are not here to survive. You are here to take command of your financial life. Let me give you a tool. Use it every morning. Not someday, not when you feel like it. Every single day. Say it before the world distracts you. Say it before doubt wakes up. Say it before fear speaks. Speak it with power, with presence, with absolute conviction. Say it out loud. I know where I am going. I know who I am. I do not think like the poor. I do not drift in scarcity. I decide. I design. I direct. I dominate. Let this affirmation become your weapon, sharper than excuses, louder than fear, stronger than circumstance. Let it slice through the identity that kept you playing small, the version of you that hesitated, who waited for a sign, who played safe while calling it strategy. Every time you speak these words, your subconscious listens, and every time it listens, it obeys. Because repetition is not motivation, it is transformation. This is not magic. This is mental architecture. You are not whispering dreams. You are rewriting blueprints. You rewire your financial DNA through deliberate command. And now, you must build a life that scarcity cannot breathe in. That means habits that build wealth, not wish for it. That means discipline that operates when emotion fades. That means eliminating every exit door that leads back to financial survival mode. Cut the noise. Cancel the distractions. Burn the old bridge to paycheck thinking. Because the cost of drifting financially is not just the money you lose, it's the man you never become. You don't just lose dollars. You lose dominion. You lose dignity. You lose the empire you were born to build. So listen closely. This is not encouragement from a coach. This is not advice from a guru. This is your final warning, delivered not from me, but from the voice inside you that's tired of settling. The voice that's been waiting to be obeyed. The voice of your own conscience. Drift is the silent killer of wealth. It doesn't rob you in the night, it whispers until you surrender. It doesn't break in and take your freedom, it convinces you to give it away, piece by piece, excuse by excuse, paycheck by paycheck. And the only antidote is decision, ruthless, absolute, identity-shaping decision. Declare your financial chief aim. Burn it into your mind like a brand. And from this moment forward, say it with me. I know where I am going, and I refuse to think poor. I refuse to drift. Say it daily. Say it with power. Because if you do not program your financial mind, the world will gladly do it for you. And I assure you, the world is engineered to keep you distracted, docile, and dependent. There is a law that governs all progress, and here it is. Before a man wastes his money, before he wastes his energy, before he wakes up older and no closer to financial freedom, he first wastes his thoughts. You don't lose wealth on your bank statement, you lose it in your mindset. Your external results are not dictated by the market, by your upbringing, or your luck. They are dictated by the dominion you exercise over your thoughts. And every part of your reality, what you earn, what you save, what you build, begins first as a belief. Every financial failure was first permitted in the mind. Every fortune was first imagined in silence and built by conviction. This is not theory. This is law. I said it in Think and Grow Rich, and I will say it again now. More wealth has been mined from the minds of men than from all the gold beneath the ground, and it is still true today. The average man reacts to his environment. He lets the news tell him what to fear. He lets his friends tell him what's possible. He begs for crumbs and wonders why he's starving. But the uncommon man, the wealthy thinker, he does not outsource his beliefs. He selects them. He sculpts them. He commands them. He does not wait for life to define his financial reality. He decides what he will think, what he will repeat, what he will install. And he repeats those thoughts with such clarity, with such emotion, with such brutal consistency that they engrave themselves into the very structure of his identity. Your wealth will not be lost because you work too hard. It will not slip away because the market was shaky or the economy was cruel. You will lose the year, and every year after, if you allow the world to write your thoughts. Because the mind left untrained becomes a sponge soaking in fear, scarcity, and excuses until poverty feels normal and potential feels foreign. Those thoughts, repeated, become your beliefs. Those beliefs shape your choices. Those choices fill your calendar. That is why the rich do not think randomly, they think ritually. They understand that every hour of their day was first decided by the thoughts they allowed in the morning. That's why I've preached, for decades, the law of autosuggestion, not wishful thinking, not fake positivity, the deliberate, emotional repetition of chosen truths. This is how a man reclaims authorship of his wealth story. Because if you do not perform auto-suggestion on yourself, the world will hypnotize you with distractions, reinforce mediocrity, and sell you comfort while stealing your calling. If your thoughts drift, your fortune will follow. The men who built legacies, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, they spoke their aim until it hardened into certainty. They visualized their outcome and eliminated every thought that contradicted it. That is not luck. That is intention. That is internal command. Because thought is cause. Money, results, reputation, those are effects. If you lose your financial power this year, it is not because you lacked resources, it's because you failed to program the mind that controls all resources. A man cannot receive externally what he has not first required of himself internally. Your self-worth, your direction, your earning power, it all begins in thought. So I ask you directly, are you feeding your mind the thoughts of a builder or the noise of a beggar? Every time you say, I'll wait, I'll decide later, you surrender the steering wheel of your wealth. Someone else grabs it. Every man walks in the direction of his most repeated thoughts. If your thoughts are undisciplined, your finances will be chaotic. If your thoughts are governed, your path will be structured by strength. Let me give you the tool that changed my life and the lives of countless others. Daily auto-suggestion with fire, not lazy repetition, not quiet wishing spoken like law, written with authority, engraved through emotion. Speak the identity of the wealthy version of you. Not once, not when you feel like it. Daily. Because the world shouts doubt into your ears hourly, and your subconscious does not respond to scattered inspiration, it only responds to dominant repetition. What you repeat with emotion becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you build. And if you ask me, but I don't believe it yet, I will answer you this way. You don't speak it because it's true. You speak it until it becomes true. You are not lying. You are leading. You are not pretending. You are programming. Let your subconscious hear it now and every day forward. I command my thoughts. I do not obey fear. I do not think poor. I do not drift. I decide. I dominate. I build wealth with intention. I lead my days with power. I create my year with clarity, and the world must follow. Say it when you rise. Say it before you rest. Say it when doubt knocks. Say it when weakness whispers. Say it until every cell in your being obeys. You must see yourself rising where others stall. You must feel the identity of the wealthy man taking form inside you, because what the world sees in you, what it allows you to receive, will always match what you believe you are allowed to have. Do not let another year slip through your hands because you obeyed the voice of fear. Do not wake up at the end of another December wondering where your fire went. The answer is not on a calendar, it's in your mind. Reclaim it now. Train it now. Declare it now. This is how you break drift. This is how you build momentum. This is how you turn time into your tool. Let me leave you with this. There are men who walk through life like shadows, not because they were born to fail, but because they never learned to think with power. And there are men who build empires, not because of their degrees, not because of their inheritance, but because they commanded their thoughts like a general commands an army. You have that same mind. You have that same voice. And now you have these words as your weapon. Use them. Repeat them. Install them. Because your wealth is being written either by the world or by you. Say it one last time with fire. I command my thoughts. I do not obey fear. That is your battle cry. That is your rhythm. Because when you own your mind, you own your year. And when you own your year, you change your life. Wealth is not a lightning strike. It is not a lottery ticket moment or a lucky break handed to you by chance. Wealth, in every man I've studied who rose from nothing, is built brick by brick through disciplined decisions repeated daily, whether or not applause arrives, whether or not the results show, whether or not comfort is present. You must understand this if you ever wish to stop watching years slip by and finally start constructing the financial future you were born to build. Most men never become rich because they keep waiting for the perfect moment. They wait for clarity. They wait for motivation. They wait for opportunity to come knocking. But I tell you now, that is a myth. There is no perfect moment. There is only the moment you decide. All fortunes are built in silence, not in glory, but in structure. Think of Edison. Do you believe wealth was delivered to him through one brilliant flash of genius? Number. It was carved out through the ashes of over 10,000 failures, 10,000 quiet repetitions, 10,000 moments the world mocked him and his own mind whispered doubt. But he moved forward because he knew the truth. Repetition is not punishment, it is preparation. He created certainty where there was none by installing it with relentless rhythm. Success is not an event, it is a structure. And what about Ford? He was dismissed, laughed at, rejected by even those closest to him. His engineers told him his vision was impossible. But he believed, not once. Not just in the morning when it was easy, but again and again through storms of rejection, through walls of disbelief. He practiced belief until it solidified into machines and motion. That is not myth. That is method. That is rhythm. Wealth does not fall from the sky. It is summoned from your rituals. Every day you neglect your structure, your morning command, your financial non-negotiables, your focused direction, you weaken the foundation of your financial future. And the collapse is not dramatic, it is subtle. You don't lose your wealth in one tragic fall. You lose it by skipping the small disciplines that held your empire together. One missed affirmation, one day of distraction, one excuse, and it starts to erode, slowly, quietly, until you stand in the ruins of your own potential, not because the market crushed you, but because you refused to build. So I ask you now, what is your financial structure? What are your daily, non-negotiable actions that align with your definite financial aim? Do you wake up with intention or stumble into the day hoping for luck? Do you speak your wealth identity before the world speaks its limitations over you? Or do you let noise dictate your worth? You cannot expect to live like a king while practicing the discipline of a peasant. In all my research, I found one trait that bound every wealthy man together. It was not IQ. It was not inheritance. It was purpose. A fixed, fiery, non-negotiable purpose that dictated their actions, not sometimes, but daily. They did not try to do everything. They focused on doing the right things with relentless rhythm until those actions became instinct. That is the system. That is the structure. And if you want to stop wasting years, start by refusing to waste today. Define the core behaviors that serve your wealth, then do them regardless of how you feel. This is how empires are forged, not by chance, but by consistency. Your results are the bricks, discipline is the mortar, vision is the blueprint. And every day you neglect this structure, you are not delaying a dream, you are dismantling your destiny. But every day you honor it. You are not surviving, you are building. So what must be in your daily rhythm if you truly want to think like the rich and build like the powerful? A moment of silence before the world enters to reconnect with your vision. A declaration of identity before anyone else defines it for you. Say it clearly. Say it with certainty. I build myself daily. I do not skip the foundation. Then commit to one meaningful act of progress, however small, however uncomfortable. Make it non-negotiable. End the day with reflection. Ask yourself, not with shame, but with honesty. Did I build or did I delay? Did I act like the man I claimed to become? Or did I drift into distraction dressed up as busyness? You don't need 100 things. You need a few powerful actions done with belief and done with fire again and again until they transform you. This is how wealth is built, not through moments of brilliance, but through structure that holds when emotion fades. The grind is not glamorous, but it is sacred. Each act of discipline is a strike against the chains of who you used to be. Every repetition is another vote cast for the man you are becoming. And if you persist, if you continue to return to the same few foundational principles with unshakable intent, then one day you will look up and realize you have become what you once thought was impossible. You will embody the very vision that once felt foreign, distant, even laughable. That is how financial legacies are built, not in public explosions, but in private integrity. So, I say again, wealth is not a spark, it is not luck. It is a structure honored in private, repeated with reverence, carried through when no one claps. The only question left is this: Will you build or will you drift? Say it now. Say it every morning. Say it when you're tired. Say it when you're doubting. Say it when no one else sees you. I build myself daily. I do not skip the foundation. Let it anchor you. Let it program you. Because the man who builds in silence, the man who repeats with discipline, the man who lays brick after brick, even when the world yawns, he is the man the world cannot ignore forever. Now take a deep breath. Look at the day ahead. Then lay the next brick. Because no enemy will rob your wealth more effectively than delay. Not fear, not fatigue, not even failure. Delay is the quiet thief, the polished liar, the assassin dressed in wisdom. It tells you to wait until you're ready. Wait until you're confident. Wait until you're certain. But let me tell you this plainly. Those who wait do not build. They rehearse forever. They live in preparation mode until preparation becomes a prison. The man who waits for motivation is the man who hands his destiny to a feeling. And feelings are unstable. Motivation is a guest, not a guardian. It may visit, but it cannot be trusted. Wealth is not built on feelings, it is built on decisions. Final, swift, non-negotiable decisions. Andrew Carnegie once told me, "The man who hesitates is already defeated." That is not philosophy. That is law. The opportunity is gone before the hesitant man even reaches for it. The myth of someday is a comfortable fantasy. But look around, how many men have died with visions that never breathed? How many carried ideas, goals, breakthroughs in their hearts until their last breath simply because they were always waiting to feel ready? I've met thousands of them. And I will tell you now, their downfall was not failure. It was delay. They let their fire go cold. They buried their drive under comfort, procrastination, and fear disguised as caution. So understand this now. There is no right time. The right time is the moment you decide. If you wait, you will not act. And if you do not act now, you never will. Emotional reasoning is poverty's closest ally. I don't feel like it. I'm tired. I'm uninspired. These are not facts. These are traps. The rich do not obey emotion. They command it. The successful man doesn't ask if his mood is aligned. He acts, and his mood is trained to follow. You must cultivate a bias toward immediate execution, not recklessness, not blind action, but decisive, deliberate movement. When the idea hits, move. When the fear speaks, move. When the opportunity appears, move. Do not stop to ask for opinions. Do not wait for consensus. You go, you act, you build. This is how momentum is born. This is how belief is coded into your nervous system. With every decision made in real time, your identity shifts. I am a man of execution. I do not delay. I do not drift. I do not wait. Thomas Edison did not wait for certainty, he moved, and clarity came through the process. Henry Ford did not gather approval, he built, and the world was forced to follow. And you must decide. Will you wait until fear passes? Or will you move and watch fear retreat in your shadow? Because fear does not fade with time. It fades with forward motion. Do not be the man who loses another year thinking. Do not be the man who talks about wealth but never walks toward it. Do not let hesitation rob you of decades. You are not here to wait. You are here to build. You are not here to drift. You are here to dominate. You are not here to obey mood. You are here to master your mind. Say it now. I act when it's hard. I decide without delay. Let that be your battle cry at sunrise. Let that be your code when resistance appears. Because the one who wins is not the one who prepares the longest. It is the one who moves first, adapts quickly, and refuses to surrender another day. This is the law of immediacy. This is the mindset of the wealthy. You do not rise by waiting. You rise by deciding, and then moving again and again until the world bends to the will you forged in silence. Every man who ever built real wealth has walked beside fear. Every man who ever rose from obscurity to influence felt the tremble of uncertainty in his chest. Fear is not the sign that you are off track. It is the signal that you are getting close. But here's the difference. The average man obeys fear. The wealthy man does not. He hears it. He feels it. but he never lets it lead. Thomas Edison was not fearless. He failed 10,000 times while the world laughed, while doubt crept in, while his own mind questioned his sanity. But he moved forward anyway. Henry Ford was not immune to ridicule. He risked his name, his fortune, his future, because he saw what others could not. And still, he walked forward anyway. Carnegie rose from poverty, with the full weight of self-doubt pressing on his shoulders, but he did not kneel to it. He mastered it. Because fear, when obeyed, becomes a king. But fear, when challenged, becomes a servant. And I need you to hear this now. Fear will never vanish. It will not ask permission. It will not announce its arrival. It will creep in, quietly, wrapped in logic. It will speak softly. Maybe wait. Maybe it's not time. Maybe you're not ready. But if you allow fear to dictate your action, you've already surrendered your wealth. Because wealth is not built by the man who waits for courage, it is built by the man who acts while shaking. Most men waste their lives believing they must feel brave before they build. And so they wait. And they wait. And they die with dreams still trapped inside them. Fear feeds on silence. It grows in imagination. It multiplies when left unchallenged. It paints your future in disaster, but so can courage. If fear can imagine failure, then you must use that same power to imagine victory. You are not an animal. You have will. You have choice. You have imagination. Use it. When fear shows you how it could fall, you respond by showing how you will rise. Because you only need one way. The weak man listens to fear and submits. The wealthy man listens to fear and advances anyway. This is not philosophy. It is practice. You face what you fear. Daily, deliberately, you make the call. You speak the truth. You stand in the fire. You breathe through the discomfort, and you survive. And with every breath, the power of fear fades. Each action is a rewire. Each repetition is a rewiring. Every step forward breaks the chain that once held you. And alongside this, you must repeat your truth. Because the world will not whisper that you are strong, it will shout your doubt. So you must speak louder. Each morning say, "Fear is my signal to act. I walk forward anyway." Say it when your hands tremble. Say it when your mind spins. Say it when the silence tries to swallow you. Say it not because you fully believe it yet, but because repetition is the forge that creates belief. You are not here to be fearless. You are here to be faithful. You are not here to wait for certainty. You are here to move with conviction. There is no power without trembling. There is no wealth without risk. The shaking is not your problem. It is your proof that you are alive, that you are growing, that you are reaching into territory most men never dare to touch. Let fear rise and then rise higher. Do not pray for it to leave. Pray for the strength to walk anyway. Do not wait for silence. Be the voice. Do not ask if you're ready. Declare that you are, and prove it by moving. Say it now. Say it again. Say it every morning. Fear is my signal to act. I walk forward anyway. Engrave that into your spirit. Let it echo through your spine. Because fear is not your ruler, and from this moment forward, it never will be again. The man you are today is not the man you must remain. Understand this at the deepest level. Identity is not a prison. It is a program. It is not permanent. It is installed. And every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you repeat becomes a line of code written into your subconscious. You were not born with limits. You repeated them. You were not born with doubt. You memorized it. You were not born with failure. You rehearsed it until it felt familiar enough to wear. But what is repeated can be replaced. Your past does not define you unless you continue to echo its language. If you stop replaying the same script, stop reciting the same excuses, stop feeding the same stories, then you are free to install a new identity. But most men never understand this law. They think identity is history. They believe they are doomed by what they've done. But failure is not prophecy, it is programming. And the code can be rewritten by any man who becomes conscious of his pattern. In Think and Grow Rich, I taught auto-suggestion not as philosophy, but as mechanical reprogramming. The subconscious mind does not argue. It accepts. It obeys. and it installs whatever you feed it most often. If you speak weakness, it will strengthen it. If you repeat doubt, it will multiply it. But if you rehearse strength daily, emotionally, relentlessly, it will hardwire a new version of you into existence. So I ask you, what are you rehearsing? The voice of your old life that says, "It's too late, I'm not good enough, nothing ever works"? Or the voice of power that declares, "I rise through struggle, I build by belief, I shape my world through relentless thought and action"? Because what you rehearse, you become. What you repeat, you expect. And what you expect, you live. Identity is rhythm. Identity is repetition. And if you want to kill the man of hesitation, delay, and self-doubt, you must starve him. You must speak a new name into being every single day, not softly, not when you feel like it, every day, until the old voice fades and the new one takes over. Repeat strength, not suffering. Speak certainty, not survival. Let me give you proof. Edison did not speak of failure. He spoke of the result before the world saw it. He declared it again and again until it became real. Ford drowned out the world's disbelief by feeding his mind only one voice, his own. They did not stumble into greatness, they installed it. They carved it into their character through consistent, defiant repetition. You must do the same. Begin today. Speak it now. Say it aloud. I rehearse strength. I repeat power. Say it again tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. When failure whispers, raise your voice. When doubt creeps in, drown it in declaration. Your subconscious mind is not moved by truth, it is moved by repetition. It does not build what you wish, it builds what you say. And if you forget to install the new identity, the old one returns like an intruder who never lost the key. So never stop building. Never stop affirming. Never stop engraving the man you are becoming. Speak with fire. Declare with force. Move with the certainty that your repetition becomes your reality. Say it again now. I rehearse strength. I repeat power. This is your blueprint. This is your weapon. This is the rhythm that destroys the old you and resurrects the real you. Simplicity is the secret. The mind does not require complexity. It requires clarity, conviction, and consistency. Speak it, feel it, act it, repeat it, until your old self, the one who hesitated, who delayed, who lived on excuses, is gone. And in his place stands a man of vision, of certainty, of unstoppable discipline, because he did not rehearse fear, he did not repeat failure, he rehearsed power, and so power became him. The future does not arrive by luck. It does not crash through your door uninvited. It is built summoned by the silent structure of your present habits, the choices you make when no one sees, the invisible systems you either install or ignore. The year ahead is not an accident waiting to surprise you. It is a consequence waiting to reflect you. Let me speak plainly. Your calendar is already being written by your discipline or your drift. And every man, whether consciously or blindly, is designing his destiny. The difference between the rich and the broke, the fulfilled and the frustrated, is simple. One takes authorship. The other lets the world write his life. You either command your mind or it commands you. You either own your time or your time owns you. You either master your year or your year becomes your excuse. There is no neutral, no pause, no standstill. Time is always writing. The question is, are you holding the pen? Because every action you take, every ritual you keep, every decision you repeat, that is your identity. And your identity always becomes your outcome. Your calendar is not just a list, it is a mirror. It reveals what you value, who you believe you are, and how committed you are to the mission you claim to have. The weak write goals. The powerful write systems. The wishful make lists. The builders carve rhythm into their weeks. The drifter jots down vague plans and hopes something magical happens. But the man who becomes wealthy on purpose builds a structure that moves him forward even on the darkest days. You will not rise to your goals. You will fall to your routines. Your ambition lifts your vision, but your behavior carries your body. And what you repeat determines where you end up. I once studied a man who refused to let time drift past him, Andrew Carnegie. Each week, without fail, he reviewed his actions, recentered his focus, and reconnected to his definite chief aim. He did not wish for progress. He engineered it. That review ritual, that recalibration process, was one of his most powerful weapons. Because a man cannot steer a life he refuses to track, a ship without a rudder drifts, and a man without systems becomes a ghost of his own potential. You must become the steward of your time. Do not just use a calendar, command it. Time is not a convenience, it is currency. Every hour you spend is a vote for the man you are becoming. If you want to rise, install a weekly review. Sit with your life. Ask the hard questions. What aligned? What drifted? What moved you forward? What weakened your edge? Write it down. Adjust. Recommit. You will find more transformation in 1 hour of truth than in 100 hours of passive inspiration. Because change does not come from hype. It comes from ownership, from structure, from systems honored even when you don't feel like it. Let me give you a tool. I call it calendar discipline. Do not begin your week asking, "What do I feel like doing?" Begin it with one question only. What must I do to honor my mission? That one shift from emotion to execution will rewrite your trajectory. Every Sunday, or any day you choose, block time for the work that builds you, the thinking that sharpens you, the repetition that becomes you. These are not options. They are the bricks of your future. They are your armor. Guard them. Because time is not productivity, it is identity. What you give your time to, you become. You don't need more time. You need more precision. You don't need a new year. You need new rhythm. You don't need permission. You need commitment. Every great man I've studied, from Edison to Ford to Schwab, treated time like treasure. They defended it, allocated it, multiplied it, and so must you. Let this be your daily declaration. My habits honor my mission. My time is mine. Say it out loud. Let it echo, louder than distraction, louder than drift, louder than delay. Say it until your subconscious refuses to waste another second. Because your time is not just your schedule, it is your life. And whoever masters their time, masters their future. Do not let another week, another month, another year script itself without your hand on the pen. Write it yourself, line by line, hour by hour, ritual by ritual, until one day you look back not with regret, not with questions, but with certainty and pride, because you did not wait for success. You did not wish for greatness. You did not hope for wealth. You built it. There is no neutrality in identity. If you do not consciously, consistently, and unapologetically define who you are, someone else already has. And make no mistake, they didn't do it with your power in mind. They did it to keep you small, to make you manageable, to mold you into something safe, silent, and predictable. It might have started with a parent's limitation, a teacher's doubt, a society that rewards compliance more than courage. And before you knew it, the world whispered your name, and you answered to it without ever realizing you had the power to rename yourself. But hear me clearly now. The man who does not decide his identity is not free. He is already following someone else's script. This is one of the cruelest truths I've uncovered. No man drifts into greatness. No man stumbles into wealth. No man wakes up powerful without first deciding, deeply and repeatedly, that power is his right to build. Andrew Carnegie didn't hope to lead industries. He claimed the identity of an empire builder and lived into it. Edison didn't discover invention. He declared that failure would never have the final word and burned that idea into his wiring until the world could no longer ignore what he made real. Henry Ford didn't ask permission to think bigger. He imposed his mind on the world until roads bent to his machines. This is not metaphor. This is law. The world does not give identity. It reacts to it. The world does not reward those who wait to find themselves. It yields to those who create themselves. And yet the average man walks through life repeating borrowed language, mimicking the moods of those around him, accepting labels that shrink his potential. He says things like, "That's just how I am," or "I've never been that kind of person." But what he fails to realize is this: identity is not a description. It is a decision. And until you decide, your life is not your own. You may breathe, you may earn, you may survive, but you will never lead. You will never rise. You will never walk into wealth or destiny or greatness without first building the man who commands it. Identity is not fixed in stone. It is forged in fire. It is not inherited. It is installed through deliberate repetition, through disciplined reinforcement, through the emotional energy of clarity and conviction applied daily, especially when it feels ridiculous, when no one is clapping, when your reality hasn't caught up yet. That is when identity is shaped. Not when it's convenient, but when it costs. And this is why I taught auto-suggestion not as empty positive thinking, but as a process of mental re-engineering. You must feed your subconscious identity with the same seriousness you feed your body. Because a man who forgets to define himself becomes weak. He becomes reactive. He becomes programmable by every headline, every doubt-filled conversation, every fearful voice that never dared to live bold. Let us not be naive. This world is always shaping you. The only question is, by whose hand? And there is only one defense against this slow erosion of power. The daily ritual of declaring your identity before the world has a chance to assign one to you. Say it aloud. Let your own voice be the most commanding one in your life. I decide who I am. I do not wait to be told. I move from conviction, not approval. I walk from identity, not emotion. Repeat that every morning. Speak it every night. Say it when your knees shake, when the room doubts, when fear rises to reclaim the throne. Because fear does not retreat in silence, it retreats in the face of declared certainty. Look to Charles M. Schwab. They told him he was unqualified, unrefined, unfit to lead. But he never let those voices define him. He repeated a new image until the world could no longer see him as anything else. That is how powerful identity is once claimed and repeated. With enough clarity and force, it becomes a signal the world cannot ignore. The man who moves from self-definition cannot be manipulated. He cannot be redirected by doubt or discouraged by delay. Why? Because he is not moving from circumstance. He is moving from who he already decided to be. And that decision becomes his compass, his standard, his filter, his fuel. Your environment, your results, your relationships, they are not random. They are reflections of what you've told the world over and over again about who you are. The world is your mirror. It shows you what you believe and what you tolerate. So I ask you now, and I ask without apology, who have you decided to be? Not who do you hope to become someday. Not who might you be if luck arrives. But who are you now without proof, without applause, without validation? Decide now, speak it now, install it now, because identity always precedes reality. You do not wait until you feel worthy to act. You act, and in doing so, you build worth. You do not wait for confidence to arrive. You declare it, walk with it, and let the evidence catch up. That is the loop most men never escape. They wait to feel different before doing different. But power belongs to the man who acts first from decision, then lets the results rise to match it. Say it again. Say it as law. Say it as your new beginning. I decide who I am. I speak it until my nervous system obeys. I repeat it until my environment reflects it. I live it until the world adjusts. And when the world bends, I will not be surprised. I will not be confused. I will not call it fate or timing or luck. I will know exactly what it was. It was identity, installed, reinforced, rehearsed, until it became real, until it became me. I decide who I am. I repeat it until the world agrees. In all my years of studying the minds of the wealthy, the powerful, and the unstoppable, I've come to one undeniable truth. The reason most men never build anything meaningful, never lead, never rise, never own their greatness is not because of lack of skill, lack of time, or lack of opportunity. It is because of fear. Not the kind of fear that screams, the kind that whispers, the kind that camouflages itself inside logic, inside comfort, inside 1,000 daily hesitations that feel harmless but cost you everything. These fears are not storms. They are shadows. Quiet, consistent, and deadly. And unless you expose them, name them, and rise above them, they will dismantle every possibility you've ever considered. I've identified six. Six core fears that sit at the root of all mediocrity. And if you want to think like the rich, act like the rich, and become the kind of man who builds wealth that lasts, you must face each one with truth, with strategy, and with fire. The first is the fear of poverty. This is the oldest fear, buried deep inside our survival instinct. It tells a man to play small, to cling to security, to say yes to jobs he hates and no to the dreams that haunt him. It turns kings into cowards. But poverty is not the enemy, it's the fear of it that keeps men enslaved. You conquer it not by waiting for abundance, but by building it. Action is the antidote. Value is the key. Provide service. Create impact. Live in purpose, not panic. Say it now. I do not fear poverty. I create wealth through service, vision, and discipline. The second fear is the fear of criticism. How many voices have died silent because someone was afraid of being laughed at? How many books were never written, businesses never launched, lives never changed because a man feared the mockery of the mediocre? Understand this. Critics are not builders. They do not create. They comment. And they have no power unless you hand it to them. If you fear judgment, you will never lead. Detach from the noise. Validate from within. Say it now. I am not ruled by critics. I am built by purpose, not permission. The third fear is the fear of ill health. This fear disguises itself as caution, but it quickly becomes obsession. Every ache becomes a diagnosis. Every strange feeling, a sentence. But hear me, your thoughts shape your body. Worry weakens. Fear invites illness. You are not fragile. You are a fortress. Train your mind to visualize strength, not sickness. Fuel your body with movement, gratitude, and command. Say it now. I am healthy, strong, and full of energy. I build my body with thoughts, habits, and purpose. The fourth fear is the fear of losing love. This fear steals strength. It makes men beg instead of led, conform instead of stand tall. It makes them trade their truth for affection. But real love cannot be begged for. And the man who fears its loss has already handed over his power. Anchor your love in self-respect. Give from overflow, not desperation. Say it now. I give love freely and fearlessly. I do not beg for affection. I stand whole and strong with or without it. The fifth fear is the fear of aging. This fear does not live in the body, it lives in the mind. It whispers, your time has passed. But wisdom is not weakness. Age is not decay, it is refinement. The world may worship youth, but it is the seasoned man who builds legacy. Stay in motion, stay in purpose. Lead those behind you. Say it now. My age is my strength. My wisdom is my weapon. My purpose does not retire. And the final fear, the deepest one, is the fear of death. This fear haunts only those who never truly lived. It follows the man who ignored his calling, who silenced his voice, who traded days for comfort and years for survival. But death is not the enemy. A wasted life is. The rich do not fear death. They fear regret. So live with urgency. Speak boldly. Build legacy. And say it now. I do not fear death. I fear a life unlived. I rise daily with purpose and leave nothing undone. Now listen carefully. Fear will not disappear. It will still whisper. But it will not rule. You don't need to eliminate fear to rise. You only need to stop obeying it. The man who conquers fear is not the man who feels nothing, but the man who chooses action anyway. Speak that with me. I am not ruled by fear. I face it. I understand it. I rise above it. And I lead my life with courage and clarity. This is how the rich think. Not with arrogance, with intention. They see the fear. They name it. They rise beyond it. Now it's your turn. Walk forward. The fear will whisper, but now it will never win. There is a force more vital than skill, more essential than resources, more foundational than opportunity. It is the force that separates the man who builds wealth from the one who only imagines it. That force is faith. And before you confuse it with superstition or soft emotion, hear me clearly. I do not speak of hope or chance or religious tradition. I speak of faith as a mental state, a self-forged certainty so strong, so sustained, so emotionally charged that it alters the rhythm of your thoughts, programs your subconscious, and commands your behavior to move with precision toward its target. If you want the next year of your life to be radically different, it will not begin with hustle or planning or chance. It begins with belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in society, but belief in your own power to create what does not yet exist. Because before Henry Ford revolutionized transportation, he believed. When his engineers said the V8 engine was impossible, he didn't debate. He said, build it anyway. That is faith. Faith backed by decision. Faith carved into identity. When Thomas Edison endured 10,000 failures, he did not lose faith. He reframed the entire process. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That mindset, that resilience, that refusal to let the absence of results define the presence of possibility, that is faith. You see, faith is not passive. It is not sitting back hoping life improves. Faith is a posture. Faith is a command. Faith is the voice that speaks reality before it exists. It is not wishful thinking. It is repetition, anchored in emotion, spoken until the subconscious installs it as law. The subconscious does not question. It does not verify. It does not check your resume. It listens. And whatever it hears most consistently, especially when delivered with emotion, it accepts as truth. If you tell yourself, I never succeed, your subconscious says, understood. If you say, I was made for more, and you say it daily, with conviction, with intensity, with fire, your subconscious listens too. And once it accepts, it begins to bend reality around that belief. Faith is not gifted. It is built through repetition, through daily declaration, through autosuggestion that is not soft poetry but mental engineering. You want to reshape your life? Begin by reshaping the story you tell yourself every single day. Let me give you what I've given to thousands of men, the faith-building ritual. Step 1. Write your definite purpose. What do you want in the next 12 months? Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Write it now. Be precise. No vague dreams. No fuzzy goals. Exact, measurable, uncompromising. Step 2. Affirm it aloud, twice daily, morning and night. Say it like it's done. Say it with the energy of finality. Say it until you feel your posture change. Step 3. Visualize. Not in abstract imagination, but in full emotional engagement. See it as complete. Smell the air. Walk in that moment, breathe it in like it's happening now. Step 4. Identity statement. Declare who you are. I am a focused, disciplined, unstoppable man. I was not built to break. I finish what I start. Speak it. Live it. Own it. Repetition carves the stone. Your identity is not found, it is sculpted, one word at a time, one affirmation at a time. And here's the most brutal truth I can offer you. If you do not program your faith, the world will program your doubt. Society will sell you fear. The media will drip feed you powerlessness. Weak men will tell you to lower your aim. And if you let those voices become your soundtrack, your potential becomes a prisoner. But the man who builds faith becomes the architect of destiny. Say it again. The man who builds faith becomes the architect of destiny. Not because he avoids resistance, but because he refuses to let resistance decide. Faith is not a feeling. It is a decision repeated until it becomes instinct. There will be days where you feel unworthy. Say it anyway. Days where you question your ability. Declare it anyway. When your former self whispers, "You can't," you answer, "I already have." Speak louder than the doubt. Stand taller than the fear. Repeat your truth until it buries the lie. This is how you rise. Not when it's easy. Not when the world cheers. But when the evidence is invisible and the belief remains unshaken, the next year of your life does not belong to talent. It belongs to the one who believes the deepest, declares the boldest, and acts the earliest. Faith is proven not by words but by motion. So walk forward now. Not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because you have become the man who guarantees it. Speak now. I believe before I see. I act before it's obvious. I commit before it's convenient. My faith is not fiction, it is fire. I repeat it, I install it, I live it. Because I was not made to drift, I was made to build. And I will build what I believe. You've now heard the truth. You've met the enemy. You've seen the traps. And you've been given the tools, the laws, the principles, the rituals. But none of it will matter unless you now decide. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels right. Now. Because the future does not respond to feelings. It does not bend to potential. It does not obey your intention. It moves only for the man who moves first, who decides fully, and who repeats that decision until the world can no longer ignore him. So let me speak plainly. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are simply untrained in the one discipline that changes everything, the discipline of identity. But training can begin now. And it begins with one principle, one law that has echoed through every lesson in this message. Repetition is the seed of all transformation. It is how Carnegie rose from a poor messenger boy to the titan of steel. It is how Edison turned thousands of failures into a revolution of light. It is how Ford bent skepticism into steel and vision into industry. And it is how you, right here, right now, will reshape the rhythm of your life. Because your current beliefs, your habits, your results, none of them are permanent. They are patterns. And patterns are built through repetition. You didn't wake up with fear. You practiced it. You didn't inherit hesitation. You rehearsed it. You didn't fall into drift. You listened to it daily. And so it became your rhythm. But what if starting now, you reverse that rhythm? What if, instead of repeating doubt, you repeat discipline? Instead of replaying delay, you rehearse decision. What if you return to this message daily, not once, not twice, but until your internal compass changes, until your actions align, until your identity no longer flinches? Do not underestimate this. You do not need more inspiration. You need installation. Because the man who listens once is motivated, the man who listens twice is reminded. But the man who listens until he transforms that man becomes inevitable. Let me leave you with this, not a suggestion, not a whisper, but a command. Say this out loud, not in thought, not in silence, but with fire in your voice and steel in your spine. Say it like your next 12 months depend on it, because they do. I do not drift. I do not delay. I do not obey fear. I am the builder. I am the decision. I am the result. I repeat power daily. I rise by repetition. I finish what I begin. Say it again. Write it down. Burn it into your subconscious. Because this is not a speech. This is your blueprint. This is your weapon. This is your fire lit now and fanned into a blaze by the breath of daily repetition. So go. Not someday. Not when you're ready. Go now. Build now. Decide now. Because the next 12 months are already moving, already writing themselves, either by accident or by your command. And if you want to be rich, not just in wealth, but in identity, in purpose, in power, then you must stop hoping and start deciding. You must repeat who you are until nothing else feels true. You are not here to watch. You are here to build. You are not here to survive. You are here to rise. And the world will not wait. Neither should you. So rise now and own it.